地球僕たちの星宇宙僕たちの世界未来僕たちの明日みんな僕たちのもの
Okay, what the fuck was that?
I have no idea. All I know is that they were speaking Japanese, as far as I could tell.
I mean, but could you understand what they were singing, what they were talking about?
Not in the least. Not in the least.
And, special shout out to Knuckles Cannoli, our Canadian connection, for the MMO radio podcast show, for setting us up with that whatever song that was. But, yes, welcome to the MMO radio podcast show. I'm Popcorn Pete, along with my co-host in crime.
Sorry about that. Had to spit a little bit. Vinny the Vault.
It happens, Vinny. And tonight we have a very special show. We are going to go back in time and we're going to talk about Japanese monster movies.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And we're talking about only Japanese, nothing with any European, other Asian films. Best of all, no American monster films, because that's way too big of a category to even add into this.
No, that would be like a weak series for us.
Yeah.
But no, we're not doing that.
No, not at all. And like I said, no European films, so you won't see any of the Godzilla or King Kong ripoffs that England did. So.
We won't even get there. Talk about that.
No, not all right.
All right.
Not all right. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to run down a list that we've created of different monsters. There are some monsters that we're only going to gloss over, mainly because we've only seen stills of the creature or posters.
Right.
And can't find a copy of the movie to watch.
And plus time restrictions. So.
Oh yes, time restrictions.
But those are other shows to come.
Oh yes, we might redo this and do a Japanese monster movie too. And after we've seen some of these movies, we'll get to it then. But for now, you want me to start off? So
please.
Okay. First off, we're going to talk about one that we're not too familiar with outside of the Godzilla versus King Kong movie. But Japan did a series of Kong movies, not counting the Godzilla one. They did one called Wasi Kingyu Kongyu, which was done in black and white.
Say that 10 times fast.
Which was done in black and white in the early to mid 50s. Around the same time, I think that they did Godzilla. I think that they had such a response from the original Godzilla movie that they went ahead and did this one.
Right.
Which also ended up having a sequel called King Kong Appears in Edo. I've never seen either one, but from just the idea of what they do with these movies and how this one played out, I would say the first movie takes place in King Kong being in Tokyo, and obviously this one shows up in Edo. So he's making his way across the country, the same way Godzilla did in some of his series.
Right.
He's not only showing up in Tokyo.
Yeah, he eventually made it to New York, which is another story for another time.
Yep, true. And became female along the way.
This is true.
Yep, but we all know from Jurassic Park that some reptiles can change sex when they need to. Obviously, he had to.
Just ask Jeff Goldblum; he'll tell you.
Yep. Now, we're gonna like I said, some of these we're gonna gloss over,
right? Because
there are going to be other shows, and Godzilla is one of them. Any movie that had Godzilla in it, we're not going to really talk about right now. That's his own show, and we'll do that somewhere down the road.
Definitely.
Okay. So the next one, I know I never heard of until I found out about it, and I don't believe you've ever heard. It's called Half Human.
Half Human.
Half Human.
Okay.
What I can get from it is that they splice the DNA of a guy with an ape, and
oh god,
after he starts changing, he starts growing as well. and he becomes a kaiju or a kaiju.
So he becomes a huge human ape thing.
Yeah,
Huh.
I've never heard of it. All I've ever seen is stills, and those weren't really good. So I'm thinking that it was somewhere along of the line, and I know I've got it down on the list, is the Mighty Peking Man. which was
Sorry, that just struck me as funny.
which was supposed to be. You remember the movie Iceman,
Yes.
where they found the Neanderthal frozen in ice and he came back to life?
Right.
Well, this was Peking Man was supposed to be somewhat on the same idea, but it was supposed to be a giant human. Because there was always that conspiracy theory that there was giants part of the human evolution chain.
Mm-hmm.
So this was supposed to be playing off of that they find this giant human frozen in ice. They don't mean to, thaw him out, but he does thaw out, and he tries to steal a supermodel, and then they end up killing him and all that.
No, isn't
Do not ask, because I know so much detail if I've seen the film.
No, I'm just
I'll
saying.
admit that I've seen the film.
I'm just saying. Isn't Peking like
A duck?
Yeah.
No, Peking is a place.
So how do you get the duck in there?
They were famous for their duck.
Get the duck out of here.
No, that's what it was. That they were famous for their duck dish, and some general or somebody really liked it. And
General Gao?
No, because that's a different thing.
I know that.
Well, I don't understand how you didn't know about Peking duck.
I'm just trying to be funny. All right, go ahead.
All right. Well, you stick to learning Japanese, and then we'll see if you can be funny.
Hirokinoki. Okay.
All right. I know a lot of Japanese.
Do you?
Tokyo, Edo.
Okay. Anything else?
Yokoto.
1941.
Yamato.
You say tomato, I say tomato. Okay,
Oh my
all right,
God.
let's go.
We're hacking apart one of the oldest languages in the world.
Yeah, we're really aging ourselves out.
Oh yeah. All right. The next one, I believe, might be one of your favorites. It always was one of mine, and I love the fact that he had his own film before he joined into the Godzilla universe. Was Rodan.
Yes.
The giant pterodactyl, I think they were trying to make it look like half-breed or something like that.
You could tell it was some bird of some kind.
So, but it was on the idea of a pterodactyl to go with that.
Right.
All right. One of the better films around that time, I'd say, compared to some of the other things that they pumped out.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, it was just like Godzilla. It was just a man in a suit.
Right.
But a lot of the time, he was held up by wires to do all the flying sequences. Which, to tell you the truth, even in the suit that would cushion a fall, I'm not going to get up there. No way.
No.
Not in the chance.
I'm afraid of heights anyway, so.
But I do know that he shows up in the new Godzilla film, Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yes.
So they have brought him back, and the universe they have to dip into. They could make dozens of these films, as well as spin-offs.
Sure.
They could do a Rodan spin-off. It's not like it's never been done before. Case in point, the original done in the 50s.
Right.
So, and this whole Gaju thing started with Godzilla. Let's just say that it started in 53 or 54. I think it was 54.
I think
that
so.
The original came out. So this list goes back as far as 1954.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, it goes all up to the early 2000s.
Oh, and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean this list here that we've
that
accommodated
we're covering right now.
from the Japanese standpoint.
But I mean, there's been so many Godzilla movies out
Oh
there.
yeah, there's over 30.
Damn.
So that's why I'm saying that Godzilla has to have his own show.
Quite the franchise.
Yeah. But Rodan, another one, very different. If you've never seen it, you've only seen what they did in the newest movie. You should search this out and get your hands on it. It's a great film to see, and I'll give case in point. I watched it on the big screen television that I have. It's outstanding. It's so much better than watching it the way we watched it back in the day, when it was only, if we were lucky, a 12-inch screen.
Yeah, a little black and white TV.
Yeah.
We actually had to get off the couch and change the
channel.
knob.
Right, but at least then we were seeing exactly what they had seen with that movie because it was still in black and white.
Right.
But if you can find a copy of it, definitely find
Check it
It's
out.
well worth it. The next one is, I want to say, the beginning of their monsters coming from space. It's basically called, obviously, Warning from Space.
Warning from Space.
Now, this is the American title that this movie was released under. All right. I could not pronounce the Japanese version of the title, even with the American spelling of it. So I dumped that for the Americanized version of the title.
Oh, come on, give it a try.
I can't even think of what it was now. But basically, this was either a ripoff or a homage to, however you want to look at that, to a Justice League comic book, because the villain, the monster in this movie, is a big blue starfish with an eye in the middle that comes from space. And I know that the Justice League in the DC Comics battle a big starfish, a blue starfish that comes from space.
Huh.
I want to say that the Justice League didn't do it until after this movie, but I'm just saying it might be the same creature.
It could be.
And again, all I know of this thing is from stills. Another movie I've never seen, I've never had a chance to see.
That's crazy.
But like I said, I'd love to see some of these films, especially where I love so many of these things that are non-Godzilla franchises. You know, it drives me to see what else they did with such little budgets.
Right. I mean, and they're not all these big, huge monsters. I mean,
No,
they got
no.
other movies out
Oh no, yeah, no. I have a friend. Well, I had a friend who got me really. I was already a big fan of the Japanese monster films, but I had a friend who got me onto the other side of the Japanese filmmaking. He started me off with, the more modern. I know this is the bad term for it. The more modern kung fu films.
Okay.
Like Hero, House of Flying Daggers, things like that.
Yeah.
So, but my taste of movies is so widespread. Of course, as soon as I saw those films, I wanted to see more.
Understandable.
So I started looking around for different things from the actors, from the directors, and I flourished in the Japanese film market.
Right.
And I've seen all these different kinds of films, and some that I would love to see modernized to today, whether the Japanese do it, or, and I know the Americans always do this, they steal an old movie and they redo it. Not even old movies, they do it fairly often.
Yeah, but, I mean...
But they don't always do it right.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of times, like, the Japanese movies that they make are really, really good.
Yeah.
Then we try to Americanize it,
Yep.
and it just falls short.
Yeah, true. And some of them fall very short. And unfortunately, you can't blame that always on the American directors. Because I'm just going to give you one instance, and then we're going to get back to this list.
Okay.
Okay, one instance. The movie Bangkok Dangerous. I don't remember if it was a Japanese film. I want to say it was a Thai film.
All right.
But either way, it's an Asian film.
Yep.
Okay. Outstanding movie, lost in the shuffle for a lot of people if you don't watch the Asian market for films.
Right.
Outstanding film. I recommend it if you can live through watching movies with subtitles. Excuse me. I'd say check this out.
Right.
Okay. Now.
But that turns a lot of people off.
Yeah, sometimes it does. But like I said, if you can get through it, check it. I mean, I don't know if there's an English dubbing of this movie. There might be, possibly, but there's another chance you might be able to find it like that. Okay. What they did, I believe in the late 90s or mid 90s, they remade this film. Americanized it.
Americanized it, yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, they used the worst actor they could for this film. They chose Nicolas Cage.
Ugh.
Okay, so you already have a downstroke on that. Okay. What happened was, which I don't know if it was lost in translation or anything like that, but he plays a hitman that goes to, I believe, Thailand. Okay. And he's going on a job. Well, he befriends this young girl who's, I believe, blind. Okay, the movie's horrible. Don't even look at the remake. Look at the original.
Right.
But you know what else connects these two together? The original director. The original director of the Thai film actually came and redid his film and Americanized it.
Which is rare.
Which is rare. But I think the problem with that movie, beyond the acting and not completely, Americanizing it, I think what happened was because the director wasn't American and he was trying to Americanize it, I think something was lost there.
Lost in the shuffle.
Lost in the shuffle.
Another example, real quick,
Yeah.
and then we'll get back to the list, is Ringu.
Oh, yes, Ringu.
I thought Ringu was much better than the Americanized version of The Ring.
Oh, yes. But they actually were able to do a trilogy of Japanese paranormal horror for that film, which worked.
Yeah.
Which worked. When they Americanized it, I don't know, what they do, one sequel and then they rebooted it?
Yeah, and it just it's bad.
It's bad when they don't want to continue trying to make a sequel to fix things.
Right.
They rebooted it and the reboot sucked.
Right.
So, but that's an entirely different category than what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to the list now. This one I had never heard of until I put this list together.
Okay.
And when I went to go look and see about it, I actually found this movie on Amazon Prime. So it is available to watch. Yet it's, to me, a very obscure movie.
Now, does this movie have a title? Or
yes, it does.
You're going to keep us waiting.
It's called Varan, I can't even pronounce it. Varan the Unbelievable.
Varan the Unbelievable.
Yes. And if you want to check it out, it's on Amazon Prime. I didn't get a chance because I was trying to do a few other things to get ready for the show.
Okay.
So, but this one it's just like what it shows on the poster. A large sea-dwelling creature comes out of the water and attacks these people on an island, and they deal with them or don't deal with them. I don't know. If nothing else, if they're on an island and don't have any firearms, they're probably just going to push them back to the sea.
Okay, that's great.
So, but again, one of the ones we haven't seen, and we're going to find a lot of these that we've never seen because
never even heard of.
Right, a lot of these movies that we saw in this genre were only on Creature Double Feature when we were kids.
Loved the show.
Some of these movies may not have been available for them to in a package for them to show.
Probably not.
So
I mean, we're going way back.
Oh yeah, we're going back. We're going back to the 70s.
Yeah.
So, but after that, I've got one, The Three Treasures. Doesn't sound like a monster movie, does it?
No, it sounds like a George Clooney film.
Okay, this movie is about a bunch of treasure hunters who believe they're chasing down this treasure that's on some obscure Japanese island. Okay? They get there, start digging around, and then all of a sudden, all these sea creatures start coming out of habitation.
Okay.
Now, I'm giving you this from the description that I found.
Okay.
For the movie, because I couldn't find the movie at all to even watch. But what it sounds like, where it falls into this category, is that these are all guardians keeping the treasure safe, whatever the treasure is.
Oh, so we don't know what the treasure is.
I have no idea. It didn't say anything in the description. So.
That description sucks. But anyway.
That's where all the monsters come into play. So, it might be one of those ones that the kids could probably watch. Because I can't imagine it being too violent, especially where it was shot in, I believe, the early 60s. Because from what I could tell, it was colorized.
All right.
All right. The next one we're going to gloss over a little bit because there is a series. Well, actually, a couple of series. They tried to reboot that before. And actually, she shows up in the new Godzilla film as Mothra, which we always thought growing up was one of the weaker giant monsters.
I was never a fan of Mothra, especially those two little tiny Japanese girls.
Listen, we're not going to get into.
I'm just saying.
What's the matter? You don't like tiny Japanese girls?
Not the ones that I could fit in the palm of my hand. I was like, what the hell is this crap?
That's one crap and they're gone. Now, what I didn't know that none of us really knew, and they used as a gimmick later on when they rebooted Mothra, was that Mothra was actually had a connection to Godzilla. That Mothra actually connected to Godzilla on his back and basically doubled his power.
He doubled Godzilla on his back?
No, Mothra is a female.
Don't tell me they had sex.
I'm not telling you that. I'm just telling you that Mothra landed on his back and his power doubled. Because she was like generating all of this power to him. So,
doesn't that sound a little stupid to you?
Hey, did I make the film? No, I did not.
I didn't say you made it, but it's okay. Hey, you landed on my back, and now I'm Super Godzilla.
Yeah, well, at least he's not a mecha. How come I can't give you any? Well, I'm titanium, dear. Listen,
okay.
We'll talk about Mothra more later.
Yeah.
In another show. Hey, come on, we're getting close to your favorite, so don't start.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Our last one here before we get on to Pete's favorite Japanese film.
Dun dun dun.
Is Gorath.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about it. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Have you ever heard of it?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
I have.
You had heard of Gorath. Okay. What do you know? Do you know anything about Gorath other than that you've heard the name?
I've heard the name. I've never actually got a chance to sit down and watch the movie, but
okay. Well, I've got the same problem. I've heard the name. There were really no still photographs to look online. I'm sure there is if I really tried to do some more in-depth checking.
Mm-hmm.
But all I have is the name and that he was some kind of a monster. That's all I have. And he's in the list because he was Japanese giant monster.
But I mean, did they give a description of what kind of monster?
No, not in the part of the list that I had. That's why I kept looking to see if I could find something. But all I could find was that he was a giant monster. I mean, if anybody out there knows of these films that we're sort of passing over here and there, I mean, please let us know, because it'll just add to us trying to find it to watch it. Because that's one of the biggest things that I like about this podcast is that we talk about things that are not norm.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, we'll talk about Godzilla and Mothra when we get to those shows. It's just that there's so much involved. We just can't talk about it here, or we're going to get laid down.
Right.
And I'm sure at some point we'll do Japanese drama movies, Japanese, straight up horror films, because I mean, I've become a fan of a huge number of those.
Oh, because there's a ton of them out there.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of them, and I just saw the poster for a movie I saw years ago, thought was fantastic, And now, after knowing the ending, because it's one of those I like to call non-Hollywood endings. So you don't, and not everybody walks away happy faced, especially the audience.
It's not a Disney ending.
Yes. After seeing this poster for that movie and knowing how that movie ends, looking at the poster in a different light, I saw something that was right in front of everybody with this poster.
Which was?
I can't tell you because I don't want to ruin the movie for you.
God damn
because
it.
I'm telling you, this movie is well worth watching, right up to the very end, the very, very end.
All right. Well.
All right. So, but okay, now we're back to this. Since neither one of us have seen this film, we're just going to gloss over it. No, we know that it's part of the genre, and there might be some here that we don't even have, because there are people. There are movies out there that I may not have been able to find that fall into this category that were Japanese monster movies. So I apologize for that to the audience, but what we do have falls into this category, and we know a lot about the ones we have seen and the ones we know about. But pardon my discussion, but we don't have knowledge of every single thing out there.
No.
Even though Pete says all the time that I've watched everything or I know about everything, I don't.
Well, I thought you did, but you proved me wrong today. But anyway.
Okay, the next one is Pete's ultimate favorite Japanese monster movie. Do you want to say what it is?
Attack of the Mushroom People.
Attack of the Mushroom People, which was the American title that it was released under.
And the Japanese title was?
Oh, it was Matango.
Matango.
Yes.
And
that's sort of hard to push all together for Attack of the Mushroom People.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that it's not exactly a direct translation. But I'll let you talk about this because I know this is one of your favorites.
Well, it starts out, a bunch of people, they're taking a cruise on a yacht, and they're having a great time, and then all of a sudden this big storm hits. And the boat's going back and forth, and finally they get shipwrecked. Not like Gilligan's Island.
Okay.
Because on Gilligan's Island, hey, they had bananas. They had coconuts.
And they lived.
But,
okay, go ahead. Keep going.
But on this one, they had to go searching for food, like looking for turtle eggs.
Right, yeah.
Any vegetation that was on the island.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I said, there was no bananas, there was no coconuts.
And what exactly did they find to eat?
Turtle eggs and
mushrooms.
Eventually, I'm getting to that.
Okay,
I'm getting
all right.
to that. But they stumble across another ship that was shipwrecked there, and apparently there was a crew on that ship.
Okay.
Now the crew's missing, and they're nowhere to be found. So these people, they continue to look around the island for food and everything. That they stumble across mushrooms.
All right. Yeah.
Tons of them.
Tons of them.
Tons and tons and tons.
Tons and tons. Okay, so they have a food supply now. Good.
Well, but
No, come on. Let's keep going. They have a food supply now.
They got a food supply, but there's some mushrooms that are poisonous and you don't want to eat.
True.
So they're sitting there saying, "Hey, maybe we'll take a chance with this."
Okay.
And some of them do. Some of them don't.
Okay.
But the ones who do eat the mushrooms,
okay,
end up.
Drum roll.
That sucked. They end up becoming mushroom people.
Wow.
And they got mushrooms growing out of their heads and everything. It's a creepy concept, but it's very cool.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a long time. Again, I think that one might be available on Amazon Prime.
Probably.
I think so. So definitely another movie to check out on Amazon Prime if you have it. But I remember it mainly because it was one of those part of the Attack series that they did on Creature Double Feature.
Right.
They did Attack of the Puppet People, which was a scientist shrinking people down to their size, and they basically like the Incredible Shrinking Man.
Right.
And
non-Japanese.
Non-Japanese, by the way. Then they did Attack of the Leech, the Giant Leeches.
Yep.
Which was a low budget movie.
Was that with the dogs?
No. This was giant leeches in a swamp, where this woman falls into the swamp because she falls out of this guy's canoe, and the giant leeches come up and grab her, and they got big suckers on their heads and everything like that. A lot bigger than on the leeches that are in To Stand By Me.
Or slugs. Okay.
But it's they're very much, and then there was Attack of the Mushroom People, and those were the 3 attack films that they showed on Creature Double Feature, which I always thought was cool when they did that.
Right. And sometimes they'd have a back-to-back attack.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yes, which was cool.
But anyway, I highly recommend.
I do too. It's it falls outside of the kaiju realm. But as a monster movie, straight up, it works.
Yeah,
I think it works. And again, it was done in the '60s, so it's not completely family friendly. But I mean, if you watch it and your child is into monster movies, if you watch it once and you think he can handle it, definitely something for him to tag on to.
Yeah, I mean, but there's no gore or anything.
No, I don't remember any gore in it at all.
No, but it was just creepy seeing these mushroom people walking around chasing you.
With their arms straight out like Frankenstein, but their arms were extended far past fingertips.
Right, and this and
All right, now this next one, I had never heard of, but after watching clips from a trailer and reading a little bit more about it, I think this one would be a definite one to add to the MonsterVerse that they're running now, solely because after they've dealt with all of the Earth-bound monsters, their next step is to bring in some of these monsters that came from space, and this one does. No, it's not that. It's not that far. Okay. But this one is called. Let me see if I can read it correctly. Dagora.
Dagora.
Yeah. Now, because it says Dagora, doesn't mean that it's a dog. Okay. Straight off the bat, it's not a dog from outer space.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. Now that I put that out of your head.
Okay. That's totally out.
Okay. This is actually a space amoeba or a space octopus, you say. Okay. The color of cloud. So obviously in space it would be white, but when it gets down into the Earth atmosphere, it's actually the same color as clouds. So in the movie you don't see this thing coming until the tentacles start dropping down from the sky.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's as much as I can really tell you about what I've seen between the trailer, because the only trailer I could find was not English. It was Japanese. So I had to watch it in Japanese. But from what you can get from these movies, from the trailer, you can usually just make the jump from, okay, so it's coming from space, this is what it's doing, this is how it's getting around, that kind of thing.
So when you watch the trailer, I mean, it was obviously in Japanese. What did that trailer tell you?
It told me this was a creepy space alien, which, obviously because all I've seen is the trailer, I have no idea how they got rid of. Mm-hmm. Might have been, one of the military's great feats of driving this thing off or killing it.
So no subtitles or anything?
No subtitles at all. I found that they very rarely subtitle trailers unless...
Which they should.
They should. But they very rarely do it unless the movie has been... the movie itself has been subtitled, and it's a hit. Because they're just not... If they just subtitle this to get it into the market, the movie into the market, that might be all the only thing that's done.
Right.
Because the distributors may have to pay extra for the subtitling of a trailer. And the distributors, it's like, well,
that's maybe a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. We'll just take the Japanese trailer and run that, and we'll see what happens.
But I mean, sometimes you just watch a trailer and you're like, I want to check this out.
Yeah, definitely. I don't understand why they don't do it as much.
Yeah.
Especially with movies like I'm just going to keep throwing this out as Godzilla King of the Monsters. If they do it into movies like that, they're going to find people are going to sit there and be like, I want to see that.
Right.
What is that? And especially where if they do take this franchise into space or looking for space monsters, there is so many on this list that they could actually bring.
But I mean, I think, subtitling trailers and everything will get the American fans more interested.
I agree, but you're also stretching it to try. You're also looking to, if you're going to subtitle a trailer, you're looking to stretch it far past your fan base.
Right.
And that's good.
That is
good. But sometimes these movies don't get to that fan base because that fan base doesn't like to read trailers. Not to read trailers, like to read subtitles.
Yeah, that's become a problem.
That's become a big thing. And the thing is we'll have a discussion about this in another show. But subtitles, they can hinder, and sometimes they can benefit.
Right.
The big benefits are that you get to hear this movie in its original language.
Right.
The drawback is because you're reading, you're not paying attention completely to what's going up on the screen.
Right.
And I know that's a lot of what they try to say is a problem with the subtitles, is that people don't read fast enough. People don't like to read in because they can't pay attention to what's going on the screen and reading at the same time. That's why they came up with the dubbing.
Right. And, a lot of times the dubbing, it's just, it works, but it's bad.
Yeah, sometimes the dubbing is just as bad as the subtitles.
Yeah.
Because the subtitles sometimes do not match, depending on who's doing the subtitles. Because I've watched movies with the English on and reading the subtitles. Because I was curious about what, what character was actually saying, things like that. Sometimes the subtitles aren't even close to what they're saying in English.
Oh, no. They'll still be talking, and then all of a sudden the sentence is ended.
Yes.
And it's like their mouth just keeps moving. It's
right,
like,
but the thing is they're speaking it. What I'm saying is an English version, an English movie. Okay, so it's only in English. Throw the subtitles on sometime. You'll find out if you can watch it that way. You'll find out that sometimes the subtitles don't match what they're saying.
Right.
Like I'm saying, if you watched, obviously, let's say Die Hard. You watch Die Hard. Die Hard is obviously in English.
Yeah.
Okay, now if you turn the subtitles on for that, there's no reason why that English should not match the subtitles. And what I'm saying is sometimes it's not.
No. Plenty of times it doesn't match up.
Right, yeah.
But
But that's the thing. To me, I think that it should. It should match up. You have the dialogue right in front of you when you're typing this out.
Well, yeah, you should. But like sometimes, and then there'll be times like somebody's talking, and you have to slow down the voice and be like, oh, well, hey, we're going over here next, and it sounds stupid.
Yes. But we're getting away from it. But I think that's what drives a lot of people away from some of these films, because they're not dubbed in English, and some of them aren't subtitled yet, because they just weren't popular enough to warrant the extra expense.
Well, they should be dubbed.
Yeah, especially some of these older ones. I mean, they should be. They'd have a fan following here in the States that is beyond belief.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, now the next one is actually a 2-part movie, which I didn't realize until I was a lot older. Okay. The first movie in the set is Frankenstein Conquered the World.
Ugh.
Now, before we get on to the sequel, I don't remember if you were the one that asked me how did Frankenstein get to Japan for them to use the name. I don't remember if it was you or somebody else.
I might have been.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you the sequel to it, and then I know you're going to go crazy because you're going to say it's not a sequel. But the sequel to it is War of the Gargantuas.
Now, how is that a sequel?
because the Frankenstein in Frankenstein Conquers the World is the creature that we know in the War of the Gargantuas as the Earth creature, the Earth Gargantua.
The yellow one?
Yeah, well, he's brown.
Okay, brown.
Brown. But he's the Earth Gargantua. Where the other one is the Water Gargantua.
The green one.
Yes.
Yeah, the mean one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So that's that's what the connection is supposed to be. Because the American Doctor that is in the first movie is also the American Doctor in the second movie.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And he plays the same character. I'm not saying he's a different Doctor in the second film. He's the same character.
He's the same character.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So so what more connections do you want?
Okay, there's a connection, but the other one was like Frankenstein, and
But no. What? See, that's what I wanted to ask you if you were the one that asked me how Frankenstein got to Japan. What it was they're taking the Frankenstein story literally, okay, and what they asked the German government at the time is they wanted the heart so they could make radioactive studies on it to see what would happen with the bombardment. This is they're still dealing with radioactive from Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
right.
So it's like, there's 2 more Japanese words I know. So
Wow. I'm impressed.
yes, Sensei. Oh, there's another one.
Oh!
Okay.
Holy shit!
So what they wanted to do is they wanted the heart
You're on a
because it was
roll.
the toughest organ in the body,
Right.
and they wanted to see what happens to the heart when they bombard it with radiation. So it was like, okay, fine, because at some point it's just going to shrivel up and die because we know the human body is radiation keeps pummeling it. It basically burns it to a cinder. So they figured this is what's going to happen to this heart. No, that's not what happens to the heart. When they start bombarding it with radiation, it starts to grow a new body. Because basically it has all of the DNA in the heart for the blood.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts growing a new body, which turns into the Gargantua because they can't, once the heart starts, they can't stop it, no matter what they try to do. So then when it becomes an actual being, it's like, well, we've got to watch and see what happens. And he just keeps growing and growing and growing. And then you see the Gargantua. I know you're not going to buy it.
I'm not buying it.
But if you think about it and watch the Gargantua afterwards, he obviously didn't stop growing. And one of the ways that we've got the split Gargantuas, because the creature that he battles in Frankenstein,
Yeah.
he fights him on the coast, and when the thing bites him, he starts to bleed, and his blood gets squirted into the water.
And that's what.
And then because of the radiation that's still floating around in the air and everything, and in the water, obviously, because how many bombs have we exploded in the water? Nobody. I don't think anybody knows, because America's exploded them in the Pacific. The French have exploded them in the Pacific. Russia has exploded them into the Pacific. I believe China has. North Korea probably has.
Oh, they definitely have.
So, needless to say, there's a lot of radiation in the water.
But I thought in War of the Gargantuans, didn't it start out with like the little yellow one? He was like a child.
Yeah, because what they did was they try to give you some insight into the growth that they never showed you in Frankenstein. But you see, they're also trying to give you everything that they did in Japan for these movies. They did with the idea of doing a franchise.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Frankenstein version didn't work, so
Nope.
they came up with this tie-over to do. Okay, but we need to do something to drive to do even a trilogy.
Right.
What we'd expect now. But the thing is it made money overseas, but not in Japan. And unless Japan sees a following there, they don't really try to do much.
But I mean, I thought War of the Gargantuans was great, incredible.
Oh, I did too. I thought it was great.
And I think, I understand what you were saying with the Frankenstein thing with the blood going into the water and everything. But didn't the yellow monster go into the ocean and?
It's been so long since I've watched it. It could be.
And his hair got caught.
But you see, they may have used that to try because you got to think, if nobody watched the Frankenstein version, nobody would have caught the things to do a sequel.
Right.
So what in War, they actually had to come up with another way of showing how this did.
I'm actually surprised it wasn't a sequel.
I'm surprised too, because I think if they had done it as a sequel, a straight up sequel, I think it really would have taken off.
Yeah. I mean, because a great movie, entertaining.
And surprising to me, both Frankenstein and War didn't do much in Japan in the way of wanting to do more.
But it was big over here.
But it was big over here. And that drove the dubbing and subtitling.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I remember it. I remember it dubbed.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some of these movies that now that I find that I can get either way, Japanese or dubbed. And usually I'll get them both ways because I like watching the subtitles with the Japanese because I think that just works a little bit better. But I have the dubbed, so if somebody comes over and says, "Hey, I've never seen that, can we watch it?"
And then I don't feel like reading a movie for 2 hours.
So it's like, I've got the dubbed version. Let me pull it up and we can watch it.
Yeah.
So I think this is a case of where they could have taken the popularity of it overseas and made more. All right, so we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we're back, so let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a drink.
You having some kind of an aneurysm?
I am.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure so I don't call the right people.
Son of a bitch.
Okay, so anybody that's familiar with some of these movies from when they were a kid, some of them, we remember only in passing. But some of them really strike home.
Yeah.
And we remember them only in flashbacks because it's like, oh, I know what this movie is called in English, but what was it called, when... Overseas, because sometimes you can't find the movie because it's only known by the foreign title.
Right.
So what we're going to talk about is Damagen.
One of my favorites.
Yep. All three films actually are my favorites.
Oh, great movies.
I mean, by the third one, you can tell they were trying to stretch the story just a little bit further to actually make the movie, but it still works. It still works. Anybody that's not familiar with this, Damagen is the name of the deity that a ancient culture had chiseled into the side of a mountain.
Yeah, it's a statue, basically.
Basically a statue, but it's carved into the mountain, it's a permanent piece.
Right.
And for centuries, the local villages had been praying to this god. Along comes a warlord who wants the villagers to pray to him.
He was a prick.
He was, but it was basically, pray to me or you don't pray to anybody. We're going to come and kill you.
Right.
So parts of the village said, we don't want to die, we'll pray to him. And the rest of the villagers continued to pray to Damagen,
Right.
which was fine and dandy.
And they were like, screw you.
Screw you. So when the warlord finds out about this, he sends out his little minions
Yep.
to kill any villager that was praying to the rock god. So they go in, they kill some of the people to make an example of them, and then leave, figuring they've got the upper hand now. You know, they know they would mean business.
Yeah.
Well, what happens is that they go back to the warlord, and the warlord's pretty much like, I told you to kill everybody that was praying to the rock god. And he was like, well, we figured if we killed some of them, you'd have more people in control.
Right. And a lot of them went into hiding.
Yes, but those people obviously were still praying to the god.
Yes.
So he said, "This is it. This is the last time I'm saying it." After he kills, I believe he killed the sergeant that was sent on the mission. And he says, "Okay, now it's your turn. This is what I want you to do." Sends them out there to look for the people that are in hiding. At the same time, he decides that we're going to make an example of this stone statue.
Right.
They take this iron stake that's probably, I don't know, probably like 7 or 8 feet long, pure iron. Take it up the mountain and bring it to the forehead of the god, and they literally hammer it in
To his head.
to his head.
Yep.
So now they've desecrated the statue, so they really can't pray to the god of this statue because it's been desecrated. What ends up happening is the princess that's in hiding, which has been in hiding, I want to say it's 10 years,
Something like
like that, and she comes out to pray because her brother has been captured, and she starts crying and she's praying to
because she knows he's going to be killed.
He's going to be killed, and she starts crying, and her tears fall on top of onto the statue, and the statue starts coming to life, and pulls away from the mountain and heads for the village.
Which was, I mean, you watch that. I mean, and, you know, a lot of us seen this movie as a kid, and you're just mesmerized by it.
I'll tell you, I finally found a copy of this whole set on DVD.
English or subtitled?
Subtitled. It's not. It hasn't been released dubbed, but from what I understand, the Blu-ray does have both versions now.
Oh, I didn't know they had a
Yeah.
Blu-ray.
Well, it just came out not too long ago, and it has English and Japanese dub.
See, I would love to get that.
Yeah, I've already, like I said, I've already got the DVD,
The Japanese version.
Japanese.
Yeah.
So I might go ahead and get this and then gift the Japanese to somebody that I know will watch it with
And
the
appreciate it.
Yeah, and with the subtitles.
Right.
So, but needless to say, he comes, he destroys the warlord and his minions, and he's about to destroy the village because obviously the village had stopped praying to him for this 10, 15 years, and he was going to take it out on the villagers.
And the princess says, no, you can't do that.
Right. So he stops, takes the iron bolt out of his head, because at this point, the only one that's left alive is the warlord. He picks up the warlord.
This is great. I love it.
Holds him to his wooden wall, then takes the iron spike and drives it through his chest.
Yep.
And
he's just hanging there like,
Yep. Now, the next two, which are sequels, which was The Return of Daminja, Daminja, and The Wrath of Daminja.
Are we pronouncing that right?
I have no idea. I've always pronounced it Daminja.
I thought it was Daminjing. I don't know.
Well, there's no G at the end, so it can't be Jing.
Okay, well, thank you for correcting me.
Damajin.
Damajin.
Because that's how it ends. A-J-N.
Okay.
Damajin. So that's the way I've always said it. I mean, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, please somebody tell me, and I'll start pronouncing it correctly.
I don't know if I was pronouncing it wrong, but
I'm not going to go real into the other two movies unless you know something different about them, but it's basically the same
story
premise.
Yeah.
Just done a different way. A different mountain, but it's the same statue.
And
Because it's always a different village with the same problem.
it wasn't the first one. He had like a green face, and the second
No,
one, like
no.
he had a blue face. Or
No, that was done when they colorized it.
they colorized. I
I
thought it was in color.
No, it originally was in black and white. And then they colorized it. And when they colorized it, I think that may have happened when they brought it to America. They colorized it, and they put the color on the face.
And they fucked it all off.
Oh yeah, of course. Because I mean, let's look at it. They get their points from Ted Turner, who colorized, I think,
Night of the Living
Night
Dead.
of the Living Dead. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm a little tongue-tied at the moment.
That's all right.
Um,
Yeah, that was horrible.
that was horrible, you know. But we'll get into colorization at some other time, because there are movies that you could probably colorize and make better. But there are movies that should never have been colorized. Period.
And Night of the Living Dead,
Was
definitely one of them.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. The next one up is Gamera. We're going to gloss over that because Gamera has a huge library.
Right.
Not as much as Godzilla, but still huge.
But I mean, other than Godzilla, Gamera was my favorite horror creature.
Actually, my mother's too.
Really?
Yeah. Because we were watching something, I don't remember what it was, and she asked, "Is this Gamera? Is this with the turtle?" And I said, "No, that's Gamera. No, this isn't that." And she said, I used to really like watching the turtle. I used to like watching when he flies.
Because he would spin around
Yep.
and he had the fire shooting out from all his
Yep.
openings and
Yep.
stuff.
Again, something I'd like to see how they did.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. You know, obviously you're hanging it from string or wire, you know, and you got this open flame. You know, what's going on?
How do you do that?
Yeah, right, exactly. So, but now we're going to come to, if I'm not mistaken, the music from the beginning of the show was for this movie here, The X from Outer Space.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
And
like we said, we don't know what the hell they were singing about.
Yep. And actually, you didn't know until today that that actually had a sequel.
But no, I did not know that.
Yeah, the first movie was called The X from Outer Space, and the sequel was Monster X Strikes Back. So
See,
obviously the first movie made enough money to do a sequel, but obviously there wasn't enough there at the end to continue.
But honestly, like watching The X from Outer Space, I mean, it's a fun movie to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand how they came up with the sequel. Because, okay, you got this Japanese crew
Okay.
that goes to Mars.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Japanese even ventured into space, but
Well, they've gone to the space station and stuff like that.
yeah, well, the space station, but never Mars.
Yeah, no. Well, none of us have gone to Mars.
Well, yeah, exactly.
To stop any conspiracy theories at this moment, we are not living anyone on Mars. No one lives there. No one has gone there. There's nobody living there. Okay, now we're on to the next one.
I mean, we've had, you know, like cameras go there.
Cameras, rovers,
Yeah.
yeah, all stuff like that. But,
Yeah, we've never actually landed on Mars, but whatever. The storyline is that this space shuttle comes back from Mars, and it has this spore attached to it.
Mhm.
And they landed in Japan, of course, and all of a sudden the spore starts growing.
Could I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Before we go any further.
Go ahead.
I have a problem with the Japanese shuttle landing on Japan. I mean, even we know we can't land a space shuttle back on Florida because there's not enough land to control it.
Yeah.
That's why we landed in California or Texas.
Right.
So how in the world do they land the damn thing on Japan? It's only food for thought. I don't want an answer.
No. I get that, and you know what? I don't have an answer for you. But the thing is, you know, okay, they go there, they go to Mars, they come back, they land in Japan.
Somebody in the shuttle picked up space herpes.
Yep. picked up space herpes, and then all of
And
a sudden...
that's a reference to Space Pirates, if anybody else has heard that.
But they pick it up, and then all of a sudden this creature starts growing.
Okay.
And it's got a Godzilla body. It's got this UFO-shaped head with a big bird beak for a mouth.
Okay.
And it walks around, and it does the exact same thing that Godzilla did. Just goes around, runs around, destroys a city, and I mean, it's just, oh my god, it's so bad, but it's good.
I'm gonna have to see if I can find that along with the sequel.
See, I've never seen the sequel. I'd love to see it.
Now, like you'd said, that they how could they do a sequel? Do they kill the creature at the end?
Honestly, it's been so long
So
since
you don't know.
So
But I mean, I can't imagine them stopping. Because they killed the creature, because that's a staple in the Godzilla films.
Right.
You kill Godzilla, and you just come up with another movie.
Right.
I mean, there should not have been another Godzilla film after the first one.
True.
Because he was killed. I mean, skeletonized, killed.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe they went back to Mars and picked up some more spores. Or I don't know what the deal is, but yeah. I mean, if they made a sequel, I mean, I would love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really into watching these movies that I've never seen, especially if you've seen one, not the sequel. It's like it drives me want to see the first one, and it's like, well, now there's a sequel. Let's
I gotta check that out too.
Check that out. Okay, the next one we should have mentioned before when we started this thing, because we were talking about King Kong. Now, the reason I didn't keep it with that is because I wanted to talk about this one separately.
Okay.
Because back in the 60s, there was a King Kong cartoon. I can't remember the title exactly. I think it was just called King Kong. And King Kong in the cartoon was blue. I don't know if it was because it was cheaper. It was a cheaper color. He was blue. The colorizing of it was blue. Now I don't know, because it was black and white television. Brown wouldn't have really shown up as a shade on black and white TVs. So blue might have actually shown up more as black. I'm just thinking of that because I know they do colorize things like that.
No. I get it.
You know, because I know a lot of times they don't have characters standing near black objects because the black outline of characters get blended into the item. So then you actually may not see a black outline, you may actually see a white outline. And it'll be a white outline across, like, say, this locker, and then it becomes black again when you get as far past the locker. So it might have been a colorizing thing that they did. But
Could have been.
But what I'm saying is the cartoon, I want to say, ran for probably 2-3 seasons. Okay, and that's good for an early Japanese anime. Because I think that's what Speed Racer did at the time. Three or four, like 3 or 4 solid seasons of shows.
Right. I mean, but did the King Kong one look like shit?
As I remember, what it was, it had the hallmarks of, remember the old Godzilla cartoon from the 80s or early 90s with Godzuki, the flying...
okay, his son.
Yeah, but what I think is they took that's where they got the idea of these explorers being friendly with Godzilla and trying to do good. These anthropologists befriend King Kong, and King Kong actually, not to say that he becomes their pet, but he helps them in the jungle when they need him. Okay, which was good for kids' cartoon. It worked. Now, where to bring it here is when the cartoon ended. Of course, with us in the States, it was just over. In Japan, they decided to try to not so much to Americanize it, but to bring it to live action. So they already had the King Kong suit. So what they did was they just turned it into a kids' King Kong movie, and it was called King Kong Escapes. What they were hoping was that would revitalize into a live-action King Kong series.
Right.
but it didn't. Nobody wanted it. But because I know I've seen it, so I don't know if it's because it was just the wrong topic.
Maybe.
It might have been, but I remember it not being completely like kid. Today, the kids have seen so much, you'd probably say it's completely kid friendly.
Right.
But for the 60s and early 70s, I want to say that it was borderline.
Most likely.
So, I mean, I can understand why if it didn't succeed there and it was only partial success here, I could see them wanting we're just going to scrap the whole idea.
Which is probably a good thing.
A good thing too. But if you watch it for the sheer idea of watching a kid's version of a King Kong movie,
right,
it's not that bad. It really isn't. I mean, you watch all of these movies basically with tongue-in-cheek. Because you can tell sometimes that there's creatures in suits. I know for a fact there's a couple of Godzilla films where he's fighting the monster, and the monster you can see is actually a guy down on his knees.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be running, and he's got two hands in the front, and his knees are in the back because obviously his feet are in the actual feet in the back.
Right.
So, but if you can find this, it's good for a chuckle. It really is. If you want to relive, like we've said, the Creature Double feature,
right,
definitely get a hand of this. You can probably find it as cheap as some of the others. Because I know I picked up for my wanting to keep the whole Godzilla franchise together. I bought Godzilla vs. King Kong years ago, and I think I spent $2 on it. $2.
Because honestly, that's about what it's worth.
But the thing is that is one of the more direct sequels to the first film than any of the others.
Right.
All right. We've had our say about that. We're going to talk about two movies that I know I've never seen. I've heard of them, but I've never seen.
Okay.
I'll give you the names, and you tell me if you've heard them. Okay. We're looking at Gappa, the Trifilian Monster.
No.
Poster only showed me that it was from the ocean. That's all I could give you.
So it's an ocean monster movie.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, the next one is Space Amoeba.
Space Amoeba? No. Never
Now,
heard of it.
I've seen clips of this. It's basically like I was saying about Dagora. It was a space alien, obviously. Obviously, from the title, you can get that.
Yep.
And it was some kind of an octopus kind of creature with tentacles and things like that. He actually lands on the ground and starts picking up people. And
so it's not the same one from
no,
the clouds?
No, not even close.
Okay.
Not even close. But this one is sort of like, you could almost say, if you didn't know it came from space, you'd almost say that it was, something from the sea because of the octopus look to it. Mm-hmm. But it basically just walks around, picking people up, eating them, throwing them against buildings, destroying buildings, going along. And honestly, that's the only clips I've seen. I don't know what they fight them with, how they kill them, how they drive them off, whatever.
Well, we got to see if we can find this.
I'm telling you, Nia, this is one of those. You can tell that the eye of the amoeba, which is just one big eye, so he's a cyclops, right? At times, you can tell that the damn thing is
Clint Eastwood's
painted
calling
on.
you.
It's painted on. Oh, Clint can wait. He knows he can't call me at this time when I'm doing the show. He wants to come on as a guest star. That's the thing. And I told him we're not ready for that.
No, definitely not ready for Clint.
No. So I've actually had a bunch of people ask if they could come on and be guest stars, but I told them with our setup right now, we're not ready to bring guest stars on. We just don't have the time yet.
I mean, down the line.
Oh yeah, down the line, and it's gonna happen. And I'm telling you, the first guest we have on probably be at Blockbuster show.
Who do you have in mind?
No, I have no idea, but I mean, we'll definitely announce who is coming on to the next show. The week before.
Okay.
Right. So
that's fine.
Okay. So that's enough about a space amoeba. The other one, Gapapa, the
What?
Gapapa.
Gapapa?
It's Gappa. You tell me how to pronounce that.
I don't fucking know.
Gapapa. Gapapa.
Gapapa.
Gappa.
Gappa. Okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
I don't know what to do with Trifilian monster. I don't know at all. All he looked like is he looked like a cheaper version of Gigan, with the what were they? They were tusks coming out of the side of his head and almost pointing together.
Oh, is that from
It's from he
Gamera,
fought,
right?
Well, I think he fought Gamera, and then he fought Godzilla. Some of these monsters you're going to find are similar to monsters that fought with either of them, or later on got their own show because people liked it.
So he's been around the block a few times.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But see, I don't know the chronology. I don't know if this movie came before
or after. Yeah.
So, but needless to say, that's the kind of creature it was. I don't even know if it was the same creature. It might have just been an early project with that kind.
But he had the big tusks, and he was like a lizard, right?
He looked like a bird.
He looked like a bird.
He looked like a bird, and there were big tusks coming around. I'll show you a picture of it later. But let's see. We have another series to gloss over, mainly because I can only remember this thing vaguely as a kid, and I would enjoy trying to find some of these films before we talk about them. And that's Ultraman. I think you remember it as Inframan, maybe.
Yeah. I thought it was Inframan. It might have been Ultraman.
It might have been one of the two or both. They might have been the same thing.
I just remember there was this little Japanese boy, and he was calling him Robot Monster, and he'd do this weird shit with his chest, and he'd be like boom, boom.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they grow huge.
Yep. I believe that's Ultraman.
I think that's the same
Now,
one.
Ultraman, from what I could gather, has roughly the same number of films as Godzilla.
What?
Yes, Ultraman has almost 30 films. I know Godzilla has over 30.
Ultraman's got fucking 30 films?
Yep. Became a big hit. He even fought with Godzilla a few times.
No!
Yep. And I want to say it was...
I want to see this shit.
I want to say it was one of the Ghidorah films.
No.
Yeah, I almost want... Hey, I'll find it and I'll show you, but I'm almost positive he fights with Godzilla because that was one of the Godzilla movies where you found out Godzilla could actually talk.
What?
Because you had the roars, and they actually subtitled the roars while he was roaring at Ultraman.
No.
Yep. I swear to God.
You're fucking lying.
No, I'm not. When have I ever lied to you about anything?
You're lying about this.
No.
Godzilla fucking... No, that's Chewbacca.
No. Yeah, we don't want to get too many franchises in here.
Jesus Christ, I mean, he was like...
Exactly. Now, listen, you say it's impossible that he's talking, right?
I mean, I know he's saying something.
Yeah, okay. Now...
But he says the same shit over and over again.
Now, I'm going to get off at Godzilla, but we need to settle this.
All right, go ahead.
There's another movie called I know his son is in it. The little
Godzuki.
No, Godzuki is from the cartoon. This is the son of Godzilla, the actual one from the movies.
Godzuki.
No, is it called Godzuki?
Yes.
Oh, I never heard his name. That's why I'm saying he never had a name.
Well, I'm telling you.
All right, so
you're telling
he just
me
couldn't fly.
You're telling me Godzilla can talk.
Okay, all right, fine. He's Godzuki.
And
now,
no,
let me finish.
All right.
In one of their movies, okay, and I want to say it was like Monster Island, because there were all different kinds of monsters in this picture, okay? They're all speaking English.
Who's speaking English?
The monsters. Now,
fuck off.
No. Now let me tell you what my theory is to how this happened. Okay, my theory is when this movie came over, and at the time Godzilla was big over here, so they were anything that came over, they were gonna dub.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, When they went to figure out how many voices they were going to dub, they watched the movie and the subtitling, so they can figure out who changes. Because usually in Japanese movies, they used to put like a little dash at the beginning to show that a different person is talking. Okay. So like you might get a dash. If three of us are here talking, you might have nothing in front of your words. I might have a dash, and then who else is here might have a plus. So they know the three people are talking.
Okay.
Okay? What my theory is that whoever did this, looking for the dubbing, didn't take into account that the creatures were just roaring with the subtitles, because there were subtitles there. What they thought that there was somebody off screen talking. So they counted those as voices that needed to be dubbed.
Do you know how stupid that sounds?
Yes, I can tell you how stupid that sounds, because there's only one movie that happens in, as far as I know. And you can tell that guy didn't have a job after that movie got released after dubbing.
And which movie is this?
I don't remember. I want to say, because there was Monster Island, there was Attack All Monsters. I just don't remember which one it was. I mean, if you look for it now, you'd probably find the straight Japanese version, right, which is mostly what a lot of people look for when they go out there. But even the Japanese version will have subtitled text under the roars of the creatures.
Godzilla talking. That's...
How did we get on that?
Fuck.
We were talking about Ultraman because you wouldn't believe Ultraman.
Yeah, but you brought the shit up, man. Fuck.
Hey, Godzilla flies.
Yeah. And
don't get into it. I'm just saying.
All right.
You're willing to believe that? You're willing to believe that Godzilla flies?
No, I'm not willing to believe it. But anyway.
Okay.
Holy shit.
I got another one here that I believe might be on Amazon Prime. I'm not positive. I think I've seen it there. You'll get... let me see. Sometimes my glasses just don't help. Yongari, Monster from the Deep.
I've heard of it.
Yes, I've heard of it too. I don't think I've ever seen it. But I believe this monster was, again, from the ocean. Obviously, it says from the deep.
Dun, dun, dun.
But I think it was yellow. That's what I want to remember. But I really don't, because I don't remember if it was in color or black and white. And if it was colorized, then they might have just picked a color like yellow, because they could actually show that coming through the water. I don't know. Again, there's a colorization that I don't know if it really happened or if it was done any good. But this is a movie, I believe, like I said, is on Amazon Prime. And if it is, I haven't seen it in years. I definitely say check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out. I mean, if you want to see these movies, it's like whether or not we agree that they're good or bad or something. When you're talking about movies that are from the 50s and early 60s, it's very suggestive of whether or not it's good or not.
Right.
It all depends on if they're puppets, if they're guys in rubber suits. You just have to take it with a grain of salt.
Shitty special effects. I mean,
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the CGI ones now.
No.
Because actually, I only have one here that I know of that was like CGI'd. But we'll get to it. Actually, will be one of the last ones. Because you had never heard of it, and I actually showed you a clip today of it. So we'll leave that one for the last.
Alrighty then.
Okay. Okay. So the next one is one that I couldn't find. The poster showed that it was a Japanese film, and it's labeled as a Japanese film. But the title of it is so long, I just gave up on trying to word out the Japanese title.
What's the title?
Okay, get ready for this. This is a long one.
I gotta hear this.
Legend of the Dinosaurs and Monster Birds.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
Yep, I'm serious.
No.
Yep, exactly. So try to figure out how that works in a Japanese title. I couldn't, so I just went with the English title. Now,
try to figure out how to write all that stuff out, when you're going to see a movie and, you got all this shit, and it's like, what the? Okay.
And I'm sure the Japanese title is a lot shorter and more to the point of what this movie is.
Yeah, it's probably called Chukai.
Yeah. But from what I could gather from the still photographs and the poster, this is basically their version of Jurassic. Not I don't want to say Jurassic Park, but their version of a dinosaur movie.
Okay.
You remember 1 Million Years BC with Raquel Welch?
Yep.
Okay, it's that kind of movie.
And the
modern people end up on this island. If I could gather the whole thing together,
and like the land that time forgot.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they find all these dinosaurs and giant monster birds, which literally look like pterodactyls on the poster.
Okay.
Okay, so it's basically their version of a dinosaur movie. Which, I mean, if I could find a copy of it, I'd love to take a look at it.
You might be disappointed, but
I'm not. The thing is I'm not extremely disappointed by anything I see, except for times that I'm expecting something good,
and it sucks.
Or I'll give you one case, and then we'll get back to this. One case, I watched a movie called Rice Girl, which was basically supposed to be a movie about the defamation of Asian actors and actresses, how they're portrayed in movies for Hollywood, things like that. Now, I was expecting a good movie about this problem. This movie became part of the problem, because by the end of the movie, they're doing exactly what they're trying to fight against.
Which makes no sense.
Right. And I was expecting something and it wasn't done as a documentary. It was done as if, this is what's going, we know this is going on, kind of thing. The characters know this is going on, and this is what we're going to do to get against it. But it didn't work. And like I said, they started doing the exact thing that they were fighting against. So and I'm not saying I say this to all bad movies, but at that point, it was an hour and 45 minutes that I wanted back.
Yeah. I mean,
because I wouldn't have minded if they waited to the very end, did all this, and at the very end they came forward and say, this was what we were fighting against, and this is unfortunately how we ended up having to deal with it. They didn't even do that. They just basically took it and said, yeah, we're part of the problem.
That's kind of stupid.
Yeah, so now we'll get back to this.
All right.
Okay, we briefly talked about the Mighty Peking Man. And that led off onto another tangent. So we're gonna sidestep that one again.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna talk about one that I had never heard of. I had only seen a poster of, and I always thought the poster was just some rendering of Ghidorah. Okay, and that's all I thought it was. It was just a concept art. Well, I found out that this is an actual movie. And not just a concept thing. This is actually filmed. I couldn't find any film of it, just the poster. Okay? The film is called, and you loved it when I told you, Orochi, the Eight-Headed Dragon.
Yeah, what the fuck is that all about?
I have no idea. I had never heard of it until today. So.
And what was the other one called? The three-headed monster?
Ghidorah.
Ghidorah.
Yeah, King Ghidorah.
And this is
Orochi.
Orochi. So this one's got 8 heads.
This one's got 8 heads. So I don't know if they were trying to do something, with this creature.
Yeah.
But I had never heard of it. I'd never seen it. I thought it was amazing that the picture I had seen years ago was actually not concept. It was actually something that had been done. And I would like to see if I could find a copy of this.
So it's actually out there.
Yeah, it's out there somewhere. The movie has been made.
I'd love to see what that thing can do.
Okay, we've got 4 more, and we're going to do all the bad ones first. I'll tell you right up, I've never seen any of these.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have never seen them, we'll just go with that.
or skip over
because
it,
there's a few of these that there was never even posters that I could download, to see what it looked like.
Okay.
All right. Not that posters are a guarantee that what I'm seeing on the poster is what's in the movie, but it at least gives me an idea.
No, I mean, how many times have you gone to like Blockbuster Video and you see this picture of a movie and then you're like, oh, I want to check this out. You bring it home, you put it in the VCR, and back in the day, and you're like, oh, this sucks.
Yep. No, that's happened to me tons and tons and tons of times. Okay.
All right, hit me.
Okay. Zakor the Invader. I have no idea what it's about. There was no picture that I could find. All I know, because it made this list, there's giant monsters involved.
Okay, well, that's something we should have to
okay,
look into.
Now this next one, I've seen a poster for it. I've read the description. I've never seen it, and it's only here because it becomes a monster movie. Okay? Nazula, the rat monster.
What the fuck?
Nazula,
the rat monster.
Nazula, the rat monster. From what I could gather, he is a man who is injected with rat DNA. And he slowly starts to transform into a man-sized rat.
Why would you do that?
I have no idea, but why did geneticists do anything?
That's true.
We watch all these movies where the mad scientist does all these things with genes and body parts and things like that. And then we sit there and go, yay, they've transplanted another heart. Great. It gave the person an idea, but when they start transplanting, brains, I hope you're there to sit there and go, yay, they did a first brain transplant.
Jesus Christ.
This is something like Molly the sheep, when they cloned the sheep. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if that sheep is still alive. But
they probably ate it.
We'll go on. We got one more and then our favorite. Okay. This one is Deep Sea Monster Ringu.
Ringu?
Ringu. R-E-I-G-O. Rigo. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly, so I went with Ringu.
Okay. I believe you.
All I can tell you, it's a monster from the water. Hence, Deep Sea Monster.
Again.
But that's all I know about it.
Here we go with the Deep Sea Monsters.
That's all I know about it. All at all. Okay?
All right. Well.
Okay, our last movie that we're going to discuss is Big Man Japan. Which is what I just showed you earlier, a clip from.
Yes, you did.
And it wasn't a complete clip. It wasn't a great clip, but you got an idea of what the movie was doing.
I got an idea.
Genetically altered humans.
Yeah.
Some were genetically altered with animals, some with plants, others with both. And our hero, Big Man Japan, is only human. He was, if I remember correctly, he was given growth hormones.
Yeah, he looks like something out of a video game.
Yes.
And I'm like, whoa.
There are all kinds of heroes. There's all kinds of monsters in this. If you watch it as tongue-in-cheek and you watch it as a comedy, you'll have so much fun. Don't look at this as being trying to tell a story or trying to be serious. You watch this straight up as a comedy, and it'll work. You'll have fun from the beginning to the end.
I mean, one of the characters looks like a flower.
Yes.
And there's other characters in there, and you guys can check it out if you want. It's on YouTube.
Yep. It came out in 2007, I believe. I might have the year off, but I think it's 2007.
Yeah. But I mean, it was entertaining.
Yep. This harkens me to
Hawkins,
my memory.
Hawkins.
To two movies that I didn't mention here because I figured it would be part of a different show, and that is Attack on the Titans. about the giant people attacking this one Japanese town, and
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, we can discuss that
No,
another time.
at another, well, I wanted to save it for another time because that's actually a comic book that got turned into an anime that got turned into a movie.
And that's fine.
That's fine, but it was just because of all that, I wanted to wait till it fit into something else.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah, but if you know the kind of characters they're fighting against in Attack of the Titans, you could almost see this as a prequel of the dawning of seeing these creatures that are so large, and they just show up.
Could be.
Could be, but I know they're not from the same franchise. They're not from the same company. But if you like Attack on Titan, I think you'll get a kick out of something like this. Because that's the way I am. I'm a big Attack on Titan fan. I've read the manga. I've watched the anime, and I've watched the movies. I just wish that they would do more movies because the movies are spectacular.
Right.
That's something else I probably should let you borrow to take a look at because I think those you'd really enjoy those. There is an English dub version on my Blu-ray, so
Well, you should, but yeah, we'll get into that.
yeah, I got a list of all kinds of things to loan you. Loan. That's for anybody out there that still borrowed movies from me and still haven't returned them.
Hey, I've always returned them.
No, I know you've always returned. That's why I'm saying it to whoever is out there.
Okay.
Somebody may be listening that has actually borrowed movies from me that have not returned.
And you haven't returned them? Fuck you.
You become a big red splotch
That's it.
on the record.
All
So,
right.
that's our. Is there anything else that you'd like to discuss while we're talking about this? But, I mean, some of them, like I said, we've glossed over because they're going to be their own shows because there's just too much involved in.
There was way too much involved.
I mean, I think Mothra has alone 7 films.
Yeesh.
Even the one, and then there's the ones that she was in Godzilla with.
Right.
Then you have Gamera, who has, I want to say, like 10 or a dozen
Yeah.
films there. We already mentioned Ultraman. Ultraman has almost 30,
Yep.
where Godzilla has over 30.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have to take this in moderation, or you're going to end up listening to podcasts that are 3 and 4 hours long, and we know you don't want that, and of course we don't want that, because we actually have social lives. We don't know about you, but we do have social lives.
So, I mean, Japanese Night Part 2?
Yeah, we could do a Japanese part 2 and
That-
talk about stuff that's gone from television, manga, whatever, to the movies.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to. There's a whole slew of them that I'd love to talk about.
And from bad to worse and vice versa?
Yeah, no, most definitely, because there have bin some that they've waited years to do.
Which they shouldn't have.
No. But there's one in particular that I'll mention here, so you can pass it on to people that may know what we're talking about. Star Blazers from the 70s. We used to watch it on the afternoons after school. It was just the big battleship that they converted into a spaceship, and they were supposed to go to Iskandar, we had been planet bombed from an alien species, and they were trying to turn our planet into a radiation zone, and they were basically killing all of us off with radiation, and they were supposed to travel to this place called Iskandar, get the thing to fix the radiation, and then come back. Not until I want to say 2014, maybe 2015, and there had been talks about doing live action movie, for years. They finally did it. They did it right, and they did it excellent. Now the thing is they should, because they had it on a good positive vibe, they should have done more. But they've only ever done the one.
Now, with all the radiation,
They came back and it was fine.
did the monsters come out then?
No, there's no monsters. There's no monsters.
I know, but
That's why we know it's fantasy, because Star Blazers showed that after all that radiation, there is no monsters.
All right.
All right, but that was just another example of them going from a popular cartoon into a movie that actually worked.
All right. So, Vault, where can we be found?
We can be found sometimes on YouTube.
Sometimes.
Because YouTube seems to have a problem with us. So, but we're trying to work on that. So
And
we're just saying sometimes.
Let me just go with that.
Yeah.
You know, we play music clips, we play video clips, we play sound clips, but we're not making any money off of this.
We're doing this for the fun.
Yeah, we're doing this for fun. We're fans of movies, and we're just out there having fun. We want to have a good time. We're not making any money out of this.
But we're not shy about saying that if you want to send money, just ask for the address.
Yeah, absolutely. What else you got, Vinny?
Well, we can be found on iTunes.
Yes, we
We can
can.
find at Anchor.
Yes, we can.
There was someplace else that I knew we could be found at, and I can't remember. But any good app that lists podcasts, we can be found on them.
Yes.
Because I just started an app for basically for movies and what I like and what I don't like on I think it's called Wishlist.
Okay.
And I was surprised to find us there. Yeah, and that's not something that our producer had said, but still, if it was something that the system just took on itself, more power to you.
We're popular. Hey.
So I recommend that podcast to anybody on that site that saw mine. So we can be found there. But I guarantee you, we're found on most, in fact, Spotify. That's how my son listens to us.
Yes, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And once again, another special shout out to our producer.
Oh, yes.
Our producer, Knuckles Cannoli, our Canadian connection for MMO Radio Mafia. And he's been doing a tremendous job and hooking us up and making us look like $1 million.
The pictures, the videos he's listed on Facebook and other places.
Incredible.
Very
Incredible. So, we'd like to thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you at the movies.
Goodbye.
Bye.